With Operation Epic Fury, our warriors are ensuring that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran, #1 state sponsor of terror, they send their money all over the world to create problems, never going to happen, and they're never going to have a nuclear weapon, and they know that. They know that.
These foreign issues that we are facing are not my top priority. I understand that the president is tackling them hard. I praised him for his work in Venezuela. I've praised him for the initial strikes in Iran. And it's really tough to defend all the aspects of this war with Iran currently.
Is Trump losing the power that he had over the MAGA contingent? See, after the president went after Boebert over the weekend, the representative from Colorado continued to put herself in his crosshairs as she discussed his precious Iran war. Trump's quest for unwavering obedience amongst the Republican ranks seemed to be, well, going as well as his son's plans for his own father to attend his wedding.
Attending your son's wedding this weekend, by the way?
He'd like me to go, but it's going to be just a small little private affair, and I'm going to try and make it. I'm in the midst. I said, you know, this is not good timing for me. I have a thing called Iran and other things. That's one I can't win on. If I do attend, I get killed. If I don't attend, I get killed. By the fake news, of course, I'm talking about. No, but he's got a very person who I've known for a long time, and hopefully they're going to have a great marriage.
I'm honestly creasing at him saying, you know, it's someone I've known for a long time, talking about the man's own son. But see, Trump turned on Lauren Boebert this weekend after she publicly backed Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, one of Trump's highest profile Republican critics, calling her, quote, weak-minded and threatening, of course, to back a MAGA primary challenger against her, which is Trump 101. Boebert's response on air just today, though, was that the filing deadline had already passed, right, before going on to say that the war in Iran, which Trump continues to claim is going so swimmingly, she has a lot of issues with, which the majority of Americans tend to agree. But Trump thinks they're out of their depth and should be happy that gas prices aren't actually higher.
When you look at the state of play heading into the midterms, maybe now Cuba, the regime, you know, you're going to have to own those decisions when the ballots come back around. And what do you make of not focusing on the domestic battles that a lot of MAGA voters signed up for? That was the war they thought they were going to be fighting, was a policy battle about fixing the affordability crisis at home that has really real implications in your home state and specifically in your district. What do you make of that?
Yes. So these foreign issues that we are facing are not my top priority. I understand that the president is tackling them hard. I praised him for his work in Venezuela. I've praised him for the initial strikes in Iran. And it's really tough to defend all the aspects of this war with Iran currently, especially when we see the Secretary of War doing campaign events in Kentucky, of all places, in the middle of a war.
Now, this matters, right? Because Boebert is not some moderate Republican from a Biden district. She has been MAGA to the core, even more so than Marjorie Taylor Sanders, as I like to call her now. Boebert built her national brand around Trumpism. So when Trump is now publicly attacking her, as well as Marjorie Taylor Greene and anyone who dares not to get firmly in line, and they still don't fully bend the knee afterwards, it tells you that the loyalty system that he's dependent on seems to be wavering. And it's not happening in isolation. It's part of a broader Republican crack-up that we are seeing. Trump is fighting with Thomas Massie. He is clashing with House Republicans over spending. He's attacking Fox-linked Republicans. He's going after members who dare oppose his slush fund bill. And he's discovering that in a razor-thin majority, threats do not always translate into control.
I think it's stupid on stilts.
Why?
Because it will invariably put us in a position where your taxpayer dollars and my taxpayer dollars could potentially compensate someone who assaulted a police officer, admitted their guilt, got convicted, got pardoned, and now we're going to pay them for that? That's absurd. The American people are going to reject this out of hand. When you take money from me to give to a purpose that I vehemently disagree with, that's tyranny, and that's what that account is.
There's no architectural plans. There is no environmentals. There's no engineering. There's no sense of, when we ask, how did it happen to cost exactly $1 billion? In my mind, that is, it could cost a lot less. It could cost a lot more. I just don't get it.
If you remember, Boebert had already broke with Trump in the past over the Epstein files and supported Massey, who has been one of the loudest Republican critics of Trump on his war in Iran, surveillance, spending, and of course the Epstein release.
There's three women, Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert, who signed their names on that discharge petition and all suffered. Marjorie practically gave up her political career over this.
Yes, she did.
She and her children got death threats.
Oh, I know.
Over this. Not from the left, from the right. And
she went to President Trump and said, one of my children is getting death threats. And he said, that's your fault.
Yeah, despicable. He also told her that if she insisted on following through with this, she was going to hurt his friends. She told me the day he told her that.
Hurt whose friends?
The President Trump's friends, his friends. And I suppose some of them have been hurt. Howard Lutnick was shown to be a bald-faced liar, right? Yeah. And it turns out that John Paulson, one of the 3 billionaires who've put money into MAGA Kentucky, was in Epstein's phone book, but also was implicated in these files as doing a fundraiser and reaching out to Jeffrey Epstein to get money from him to honor Howard Lutnick. My hat's off to Marjorie for taking on those threats. Lauren Boebert, they took her over to the Situation Room, right? Like, this is where, if they're trying to kill or capture Osama bin Laden, this is where they are at the White House. They took her into the Situation Room and tried to whip her into taking her name off of the discharge petition.
Over Epstein.
Over Epstein, yep. And then the president vetoed a bill that would have brought water to a large portion of Colorado. Like,
over Epstein.
Over Epstein. And this isn't even, at this point, it's not just about Lauren Boebert. Why are people in Colorado deprived of water? Because their representative wants to expose a sex trafficking ring.
I mean, none of this makes any sense at all because it's a losing issue for Trump. But when it comes to Epstein, it's like, no. And it does raise questions about, like, how did Epstein die and who signed off on that? And why was Epstein rearrested, actually, for crimes he'd already been convicted of and brought back from France to the United States and then gets murdered in prison less than 2 months later? Like, what is that?
The people who are funding the ballroom, the people who are funding the Arch, the people who are funding the rebranding of the Kennedy Center, these are the people who are also funding my opponent. These are the people who have the ear of the president. These are the people who are dominating our foreign policy decisions. They're the billionaires. And these are also the same people who are in the Epstein files, by large part, or their friends are. Their social.
I just want to say stop. And I want everyone to just stop and rewind the tape when you said that. Okay, maybe just answer the question.
I think I did. I tried to answer the question.
And then just earlier this week also, there was a Republican, Fitzpatrick, another House Republican, who vowed to help kill Trump's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, which most Democrats have described as a political slush fund, and many Republicans are now echoing. And that came after Trump attacked him, right? Fitzpatrick is also engaged to Fox News correspondent Jackie Heinrich, which only becomes relevant because Trump targeted her to get to Fitzpatrick like some sort of mafia boss. And the Massey fight is especially important, right? Because it shows that Trump's not just punishing ideological moderation, he is punishing any sort of independence in the Republican Party. You see, Massey is a conservative Republican. He's very conservative, but because he dared to criticize Trump on war powers and pushed for Epstein file transparency, he had to go. So therefore, because Trump backed him, it triggered Trump to the point that he also wants her gone. And that tells you what all this is really about, right? It's not ideology. It's control and loyalty, which is what? Authoritarian.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.